Thank you for watching ECSO News on Blab TV, where facts matter. I'm Amber Southard.
And I'm Allison Morgan. Let's take a look at our top trending Facebook headlines. On July 26th, two suspects walked into a Walmart on Highway 29 and used credit cards that had been stolen during a previous burglary. If you have any information on their identities, call the ECSO at 436-9620 or Crime Stoppers at 433-STOP.
A month-long narcotics investigation led to the arrest of LaMarcus Brown. Escambia County Sheriff's Office narcotics investigators received information that Brown was leaving a work release program and selling cocaine from a home on Cary Avenue. Brown is a 14-time convicted felon who is currently on work release for a previous drug-related charge. Late last month, the ECSO SWAT team and Special Investigations Unit served a search warrant at a home on Cary Avenue. 64 grams of cocaine, paraphernalia that is used to package and distribute cocaine, and more than $2,200 in cash was found inside the home.
It was basically a success story. I mean, you're talking about an individual that's been previously arrested, convicted of selling narcotics and drugs, and he's out doing it again. It was nice to get him off the street again.
Brown was arrested and charged with trafficking cocaine and possession of drug paraphernalia.
And on August 2nd, a 3-month-long narcotics investigation led to the arrest of another man. Members of the Escambia County Sheriff's Office, Special Investigations Unit, and SWAT team served a search warrant at a home located in the 8200 block of Pittman Avenue. The Special Investigations Unit received information that Bud Chapman was leaving a court-ordered work release program and was going home where he was selling heroin. Chapman shared the home with his girlfriend and her 3 young children. During a search of the residence, investigators located over 100 grams of heroin, methamphetamine, marijuana, approximately $18,000 in cash, and 3 handguns. One of the handguns was previously reported stolen. Chapman has 3 prior felony convictions and is prohibited by law from possessing a firearm. In addition to the drug, investigators also found several items used to package and weigh the heroin for distribution. The estimated street value of the heroin is more than $14,000.
Just over 100 grams of heroin. That's the street value on that alone is $145,000. It's a ton of money. So when you're talking about an individual that also has prior arrests, well known in the dope game, has been in the past violent with officers, and again, he's on a work release program. We happen to get the information on him, investigate it a little bit, and end up serving the search warrant on his place. I'm not going to say it's gratifying because it's sad at the same time. The individual is now looking at a minimum mandatory of up to 25 years in state prison.
Chapman was arrested for trafficking heroin, possession of a controlled substance, possession of marijuana, possession of drug paraphernalia, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. More arrests are expected in this case.
Our 11-week Citizens Law Enforcement Academy kicked off earlier this month. The class gives citizens a chance to learn more about their sheriff's office. They will hear from different units like patrol, homicide, and dispatch, receiving an inside look on how our cases are worked and get a chance to ask those questions that they want to hear. To learn more about the Citizens Law Enforcement Academy, check out our website at escambiaso.com. And we would like to take a minute to congratulate our 18 cadets. On August 1st, they graduated from the George Stone Criminal Justice Training Center as Law Enforcement Class number 43. Welcome to the family.
We are only halfway through 2016 and crime is down 16%. Our semi-annual crime report shows drops in violent and property crimes. Sheriff David Morgan credits ECSO deputies and the community for working hand in hand.
Sorry kids, summer break is over, but to help students in our area prepare for school, we hosted a national night out. The annual event was held at Lexington Terrace Park. Our explorers handed out school supplies to those who attended.
It means a lot because some child would have went to school without a piece of paper. So we appreciate each organization that came out and gave out and sponsored something for a needed child to have something to go back to school with.
The crowd also got a treat that night when County Commissioner Luman May challenged Sheriff Morgan to sing.
It's been a long, long
The sheriff really can sing.
He can. I think some people were surprised. He's got some pipes on him.
Who knew? I'm glad Lumen challenged him. Well, school is back in, so we decided to bring the parents and students some safety tips. So we have on the show Lieutenant Ken Simmons, and he's in charge of our SROs, or school resource officers. So when school starts back, one of the things that I notice is obviously the school zones start back too, and sometimes we're not always mindful of that.
Yes, exactly. School started last week, so you're going to see a lot more traffic. You're going to see a lot more of a presence of kids coming to and from school, a lot of bus stop activity, and again, you're going to see the buses in town too.
And then we've got the kids in the morning going out to the bus stop, waiting for their buses to come, waiting to be picked up, maybe carpool. What are some things, safety tips that we can tell parents for that?
Parents, if your kids ride the bus, make sure they get on the bus. They don't get in the car, they don't walk, they don't do anything except for what you tell them to do, and that's get on the bus. That's the same thing when they're going home. You get on the bus and you go home. Don't take a ride from a friend, don't walk home, because we'll inevitably get the call that my son or daughter didn't get off the bus. So that starts a whole big process of looking for somebody who's missing.
And talk about the school zones and the speed limits and any consequences for offenders of the school zone speed limits.
Sure. The school zones, the flashing lights that you see on the side of the road, those start 30 minutes prior to the school getting out, or beginning in the morning, and they'll last until 30 minutes after school is let out. If you, the school buses, when the arm is out and the school bus is picking up kids, if you go around that school bus when that arm is down, that's $306, and that is a mandatory court appearance.
No, thank you.
Yes, exactly. And of course, you run the risk of hurting somebody. So just pay attention. Don't try to get anywhere any faster than what you would any other time, okay? Because you got kids out there, and they will run out in front of you.
And we talked about you're in charge of the SROs as school resource officers, but what is an SRO for somebody sitting at home that might not have a child or might have a child in school but aren't exactly aware of what you guys do?
The School Resource Officer Program, or SRO program, covers grades 6 through 9. So every middle school and high school in Escambia County has at least one deputy assigned to it. We're not security guards. We don't work for the district. We work with the district. The SRO program in its inception was back in 1956, I believe, in Flint, Michigan. And it was a delinquency prevention program. If we can have the officers build a bridge between ourselves and the kids at a younger age, we can. It's almost like a crime prevention from the front start, from the front part of it, okay, and not on the back end where you're arresting drug dealers on the side of the road. We're impacting these kids' lives at an early age. That's the premise of the program.
And what would you say to a student or parent who might be afraid to approach a school resource officer?
Really, don't be. The officers are there in a safe environment. We want the kids, they go to school and they see a teacher, they see a dean, they see a principal. There's respect there for those individuals. And we want that same respect, we want that same relationship with an SRO. We have stories of our SROs that meet kids that have long since been out of the school district program and have to this day a great deal of respect and admiration for our SROs that they see, many years after they've left.
And you are very proud of these men and women because they just won some awards.
Exactly. The Escambia County Sheriff's Office School Resource Officer Program was nominated and won the Program of the Year for the entire state of Florida. Not only that, but we also have the SRO of the Year, and Officer Ron Gill. He's a SRO at Ernest Ward Middle School.
That's wonderful. And the connection, we were talking a little bit about that. You're not just there for discipline. I mean, obviously you are. Somebody breaks the law, you're the first there. You're the first kind of interaction that they have with law enforcement. But it's more to build a relationship with these students.
Absolutely. We're not security guards, but we will take law enforcement function where and if we are needed. But the officers are there to mentor these kids, to be in their environment, to be part of who they are at that school environment, and hopefully the kids will remember that.
What makes an SRO different from a patrol deputy?
An SRO is trained specifically for the schools. You go through a 40-hour SRO program, which is sanctioned by the Attorney General of the state of Florida. Once you're certified, then you can go to a school. And that's an agreement between the Sheriff's Office and the school district that you will be a certified SRO before you go into a school.
And if a child or a parent had an issue, should they just come up to you and talk to you about it, or what's the best way to approach you?
They certainly can. The SROs are available. They're there to meet with parents if they need to. If it's a school-related problem, if they have a problem with a teacher or something with their academics, of course you take that to the school administration. If it's a bullying situation, a theft problem, anything that you don't feel comfortable talking to the staff about, make a contact with the SRO and talk to them.
Thank you so much for joining us. And if you have any more questions about our SROs, you can always email us. And that email is going to be pio@escambiaso.com.
Mark your calendars for October 22nd. National Drug Prescription Take-Back Day will be held from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Drug Take-Back Day aims to provide a safe, convenient, and responsible means of disposing of prescription drugs. A list of locations will be posted on our website when they become available. That's EscambiaSO.com and on our Facebook page at facebook.com/official ECSO.
And don't forget Guns vs. Hoses. It's coming up on September 17th. The Escambia County Sheriff's Office, Pensacola Police Department, City and County Fire will go head-to-head in a softball tournament at Blue Wahoo Stadium. Admission is free and the event is open to the public. The games begin at 9 a.m. and all proceeds benefit the Keeping Abreast Foundation. Just so you know, I'm pretty sure the Escambia County Sheriff's Office is going to win. Senior Deputy Robinson and Deputy Chambliss were patrolling the beach on ATVs near Avenida 19 when they heard a group of people, 2 women, 2 men, and 5 young children, calling for help from the water. Deputy Chambliss and Senior Deputy Robinson jumped into action. Deputy Chambliss was able to push the women and children out of the rip current, where Senior Deputy Robinson was able to reach the children and women and pull them to safety. One of the male swimmers was able to escape the rip current and swim to shore. Lifeguards, EMS, and fire and rescue arrived on scene and helped assist getting the last remaining male out of the water.
It was a huge team effort, not only with us, but lifeguards when they got there, EMS, checking on everybody. It was just a huge teamwork effort on everybody's part.
We don't need a thanks or anything like that. They're safe, we're safe, everyone went home.
Both of the males were transported to a local hospital. The women and children were treated and released on scene. Each week we plan to bring you a missing persons segment because we're asking for your help in identifying any of these people to bring them home to their loved ones. Right now we have investigator Kevin Snimmel on with us. Can you tell us who you brought with us today?
Yes, ma'am. This week one of our oldest long-term missing juveniles is Jade Kiss McNeil. She's been missing since December of 2015. She wasn't reported to the sheriff's office though till about 3/15 of 16. So she's been missing since then. We've received several tips that she's possibly in the state of Louisiana. The Louisiana State Police have been helping us attempt to locate her. However, at this point, she has not been located over there yet. So if anybody happens to know Miss Jade Kiss McNeil or her whereabouts, if you'd contact the sheriff's office or your local law enforcement agency, be greatly appreciated.
And Jade Kiss, we posted her photo on our Facebook. We've gotten a ton of shares and likes. Thank you to our Facebook fans for doing that. How much does social media play a role in helping you find these people?
It plays a big role, especially with, everybody's on, Facebook now, Twitter, everything. I mean, Pokemon Go, everybody's walking around everywhere with a phone with some kind of social media app on it. So definitely say more people are on social media now than they're watching, television.
Yeah. Especially
Absolutely.
with this case, you said you've got tips that she might be in Louisiana, so the more this gets shared on social media or seen.
Yeah, I'm hoping that someone over, if she is in Louisiana, somebody over there would see it and contact their local law enforcement.
Okay, and you have another juvenile?
Yes, Alyssa Nicole Atkins. She's been missing this time since about 6/4/2016 or June 4th. She's a habitual runaway. We've recovered her before in Biloxi, Mississippi. There's no indication that she's over there this time. We have received some tips that she's possibly in Texas. Texas authorities have been trying to assist me in that, but again, no luck at this time locating her in Texas. So if you're in Texas or know anybody in Texas that may know Miss Atkins or where she's at, if you just contact your local law enforcement.
And if somebody doesn't want to be identified when they call to give you tips, is there a way they can do that?
Yeah, they can remain anonymous, and each state's different, but I know definitely in the state of Florida they could call the Crime Stoppers at 433 stop even and say, hey, I don't want to give my name or anything. I just want to let you know that that's where this runaway missing juvenile is at.
Okay. And you have another one for us,
I
right?
do. One of our most recent ones is Regina Ortiz. She's been missing since about July 9th. Was reported July 11th time frame. Left a note for her father and basically said she was going to live with her boyfriend. Father's not aware of who the actual boyfriend is. We have some possible names that we're still in the process of trying to investigate and figure out who these guys are. So if you know Regina Ortiz or who may be her boyfriend, it would be greatly appreciated if you contact us and let us know.
Any reason to think she might be in danger or anything?
No, she left on her own free will, and like I said, did leave a note detailing that she just did not wish to live at home anymore with mother and father and wanted to go live with boyfriend. So, but she's not quite old enough to do that yet. So.
And what is the best number for people to call if they have any tips for you?
If it's in state or in county here, it's the 850-436-9620 is probably the best bet. That'll go to ECSO dispatch, and they're open 24/7, so it don't matter if it's 3 o'clock in the morning, you get a tip, they'll take the tip, they'll forward it to me as soon as I'm in, or if it's something that's urgent, you know, I've got a county cell phone, they'll contact me that night and say, hey, this is currently going on, and get the appropriate people out there.
Thank you so much for joining us. And also, if you have any tips, you can contact us at 436-9620 or even Crime Stoppers, and that number is going to be 433-STOP. We'll bring you another missing persons segment again next week.
I'm Escambia County Sheriff David Morgan, and last night at one of our Citizens Law Enforcement Academy, we had an opportunity to do a town hall format Ask the Sheriff segment. And so the following is going to be just that. We thank the citizens of Escambia County for being engaged with law enforcement, and thank you so much for your support.
Last week we were told that under your leadership, the neighborhood watch programs have gone from 13 to 100. 150, even better. Do you accredit that with a lot to do with the decrease in the crime?
Oh yes, absolutely. What I was saying a moment ago, it's your involvement. These numbers here are for two reasons. Number one, the professionalism of the men and women of the Escambia County Sheriff's Office, and as importantly, if not more so, is a community that's bought in with supporting us. We get asked this question a lot, Sheriff, what can I do to reduce crime in my community? We always ask, one of the first questions we have, do you have a neighborhood watch? Because, we like lights, alarms, motion detected lights, all that stuff, dogs, those things. If you can protect yourself with a firearm, I firmly believe in everybody's right to, keep and bear arms. I want you to be safe and trained, but you have a right to defend your family and your property, up to and including the use of deadly force under the right circumstance. We go through all of that, but I will tell you that without the community involvement, you will not see reductions in crime. It just won't happen.
What is the perception of the department towards concealed weapon carriers?
I can tell you that I'm a strong Second Amendment advocate, and I think most of our officers are. I think because of officer safety, but as our officers know, if you have a concealed carry permit, by the way, do you know how many, I think it's not quite 800,000, and you never hear about this on the news, by the way. It's about 800,000 instances a year across the United States where licensed gun owners, meaning your concealed carry or whatever, use their weapons in defense of their life, their family, and their businesses. Legally. You never hear about that, do you? That's a tremendous number. So, but you only hear about, again, those folks that want to wait, oh my God, we need to, take everybody's guns away, etc. So I will tell you that I have ran into a few people at the Sheriff's Office that are not in favor of. The numbers in Florida, we were one of the first states to pass the concealed carry license when that happened years and years ago. Crimes against the person, dropped 38% in Florida. And when you interview the criminals as to why, you know what they tell you? We don't know who's carrying. Remember, crime is akin to terrorism. And terrorists go after what? Soft targets. Terrorists don't attack, usually military installations that are well armed, etc. Why? Because they can defend themselves. If I can secrete a bladed instrument on me and get on an airline, I'm in charge of the airline because I have a weapon and nobody else has one. And so that's a target-rich environment for someone. So, therein lies some of the basic arguments about why would you be in support of an armed citizenry. I am. What happened in New Orleans was, an aberration in law as far as I'm concerned. When they moved in and declared martial law and took everybody's guns away, you violated clearly the Second Amendment. You don't disarm citizens that haven't broken the law. You have a right to keep and bear arms. And so, can you take guns away from criminals? Well, of course you can. Criminals are not allowed to have weapons. Felons can't own firearms. But citizens, again, who are law-abiding citizens, You can never take their guns away, not by the current Constitution anyway. And so we're big supporters. Now, I won't speak for every law enforcement officer, but I can tell you, concealed carry, I can't be there to defend you and your family every moment. So you have a right to defend yourself.
How well are we doing in fighting gangs in our schools and in our neighborhoods?
We have flatlined, Earl, on gangs. We identified, we've upticked just a small amount. We identified right after I took office, about 7 years ago, there were 17 gangs in Escambia County that met the Florida statutory requirements, meaning that they hung out together, they dressed alike, they had gang symbols and signs, whether it was tattoos, etc. They were engaged in criminal activity. As I recall, they had to meet 3 of the statutory requirements in order to be identified as a gang by statute, and they could get enhanced penalties for sentencing.
Do you have a program where you speak in schools or the libraries to educate the young ones?
Of course, we have a very robust school resource officer program. We also reach out to the young community. We have our Explorer program, 13 to 21 for young people. You'll see them around here. They've got a special uniform and they work the front desk and they do fingerprinting and a lot of community outreach activities. But yes, our school resource officer program outreaches. We teach some courses to schools and parents on gang activity in our schools. The gang experts tell you to start in the 3rd grade teaching children about gangs, and if you haven't diverted them by the 7th, you've lost them.
With the increase in the law enforcement attacks, have you done anything to change the procedures in our deputies as far as their protection?
We haven't changed any specific training, and to be honest with you, the things that we are doing and talking about in training, I wouldn't talk in public about because it's an officer safety issue. But we have always been big on situational awareness. We've got some probably state-of-the-art programs for officers in shoot-don't-shoot situations. And I would also tell you, have they gone to the simulator yet, David?
We'll be going later, sir.
Okay, we don't, horrible tragedy in South Florida, the lady got shot in that. You're not going to be put in those situations, so let me tell you that up front. We use the computer simulator. You'll have a weapon that's hooked to a cord. It's to the computer. I say a weapon. It looks like a weapon. It looks like a handgun, and you'll be in a computer simulation, and you'll be shooting at a screen, and so that's as close as you will come to anything like that. And I feel so sorry, obviously, for the victim and the victim's family. But situational awareness for officers is a huge thing, and we train that as to always be aware of where you're being dispatched. What we fear in law enforcement is not much different than what I feared when I was in the military, and that's being dispatched into an ambush. Because when dispatched, you go. And that nationwide tends to be one of the MOs for criminals and those who would do us harm. Why? Because that's what we do. You call for help and we respond. And so it's a very easy thing for someone to call in a false report. We get diversions, like up in the north end of the county. You've got criminal activity that's going to go down somewhere in Century, and they'll call for a response in Walnut Hill. Well, that's a good 30 to 45 minutes away, depending upon what route you take, and the traffic and everything else, middle of the night, and how fast can you drive on some of those back roads. And so, from Walnut Hill to Century, and so we'll dispatch a problem in Century, but the real crime's going down in Century. So I divert all the people up there. So when the call does come in, the right call, you can't get there in time before we're done. We feared the dispatch on an ambush where officers literally roll into a scene. We're seeing more of that, and unfortunately, some of that has to do with former military members that have gone to some of the major cities that have been trained in military tactics. We haven't, knock wood, seen that here. We hope that we don't. But there's a certain inherent risk involved in serving in the military and serving in law enforcement. And that's, I don't want to be overly melodramatic, I guess, but that's a risk that But I'm a little bit of a fatalist. I could get hit by a car tonight in a car accident and die. It's, we talk about those things, and it's, trying to remember who had that great saying, it's a great life, but you don't get out of it alive. No, that's a true statement. So, yeah.
What's the most rewarding or fulfilling part of your job? I know
a lot of it entails a lot of grim incidences and things that you guys have to put up with, but what do you and your people focus on to keep your spirits uplifted and to continue going forward?
It is a service job. I personally looked for those times when I was younger and doing more traditional police things than I do as, the chief executive of an agency. You find the lost child, you help the Alzheimer's patient. Those are the things that are so rewarding in that you probably saved a life or saved someone from great personal injury. Or if you get an opportunity to administer CPR and sustain someone's life before the arrival of EMS, those things. There's some satisfaction, I would say, in taking someone from our community who's dangerous. I can tell you in domestic violence situations, it's a tremendous feeling to get someone out of that situation, because we try to counsel with other agencies, women, because domestic violence is a male problem. It's not there's some women involved in that, but it's a male problem. To get women out of that dangerous situation, because if they continue in that, the probability of you being killed is very high. And so you win some of those sometimes when you run into someone that you had contact with 6 months or a year before, and they say, hey, Officer so-and-so, yeah, I made the break. My life is in order now, and I'm doing whatever. And so those are rewarding things. I think it's about an understanding of who you are and your limitations and what you can and cannot do.
Remember, you can also email your questions and ask the sheriff at escambiaso.com. We'll be back next week right here on Blab TV Tuesday night at 8 p.m.